I would tell my newlywed self to listen.
Hey, welcome to the workshop. We're hanging out with the guys of A Better Us.
Come on.
And it's good stuff. We have Eric Maines, Mike Pinball Clemens, and we have Dan McCauley. And so we're talking home improvement here, and not the regular type of like Tim the Toolman Taylor home improvement. I love that show. That was fun. But we're talking about maybe some tools that we could use in our marriage and our families, things that maybe we've learned over the years.
Figuring out the nuts and bolts.
The nuts and the bolts.
That's right.
There we go.
Yes.
There we go.
Yes, filing off those rough edges and trying to hit the nail on the head and
Learn how to not be a tool.
not be a tool. Okay.
How to make the gears turn.
Okay.
How long do we want to keep going on this?
We better move along. Okay. But not long ago, I was watching our wives, the girls of A Better Us, do their thing. They call it Just Us Girls. And they did a segment where they asked the question. So Ann threw it out to the panel of the ladies there, and she said, if you could go back and talk to your newlywed self, what marriage advice would you give? And they had some pretty good things. You know what? Not to put pressure on us guys, but they were really good, what they had to say.
Oh, boy.
So, we have to try to one-up them. No, I don't know. But we'll do our best anyway. But so let me throw that out. If you were to go back and talk to your newlywed self, what marriage advice would you give?
You know what? I'll go first. Because my newlywed self was only 8 years ago, less than 10 years ago was my newlywed self. And so I wrote two things down. The first one was prioritize time together away from Netflix. Because honestly, we do spend a lot of time together. So this was before kids. We spent a lot of time together, but a lot of it was in front of a screen. And so I would give that advice to myself, saying, hey, prioritize time together away from the screens, away from that kind of stuff. And the second one I had was be romantic in spontaneous ways, because I have learned in my years with Kara that she really loves that stuff. And so that could look like surprise road trips, or even random but thoughtful gifts. And so be romantic in spontaneous ways and spend more time together away from Netflix. Those are my advice to my newlywed self.
That kind of actually ties in with my first one.
Yeah.
When I was thinking about it, and that is don't stop chasing her. Never stop chasing her. Because my wife maybe took a little convincing at first, let's say. I had to chase her. There was a bunch of years where I chased her. I wrote love letters, I sent gifts, I made mixtapes. That was a thing back in the day. I made her one that said, she always mocks me about it. It said that Maria Carey, because I misspelled Mariah Carey. And Mariah Carey was big in the 90s, but it was Maria Carey. Anyways.
Now, when you say love letters, you're not talking email.
No, it was like pen on paper, love letters,
feather pen,
little smiley faces drawn, like the whole thing. We have a shoebox full of them. So don't stop chasing her. That, because I think that was part of maybe the attraction at first, and it answers that question. Like, to do it now answers that question: would you do it all over again? But us men, we are goal-oriented sometimes, and so it's like sometimes we chase after our wives, and then we got her. Okay, next. Now what's the next thing I'm gonna chase after, pour my time and attention into, and go after. And she's like, what? But we're like, she's like, that's a check the box. We accomplished, winning her over. She's ours now. Now what are we gonna do? So I think that would probably be high on what I would tell myself. And the other thing I think maybe it would just be prioritize giving over receiving, just across everything. Make her the object of our affection. Not that she's an object, but I use that word because it's taken from Scripture, how God lavishes His love on us, and we're the objects of His affection, and yet we're supposed to love our wives like Christ loved the church. So in that context, not making her an object, but in that context and wording, just pouring out our love that way, and making it all about her. Making, it's not about having our way. It's about finding our way. Not about having my way, I'll say it that way. Not about having my way, but finding our way.
Well said.
So, yeah.
Good.
I'd like to cheat on the question a little bit and go back a few days, right? Because as a newlywed, we're already married. I would actually marry her sooner. Right. And so we dated for 8 years. And part of that is we were both in university. Right. But even after we got out of university, I was playing sport and, I was trying to make sure that we had everything in place before I married her. Right. So those last 4 years, I was trying to make everything right and everything perfect and not understanding that she was the one that was going to make it right and make it perfect, right? And so from that standpoint, I would have married her sooner. But if I could go from there, I would tell my newlywed self to listen, right? To hear when she's not talking. Right? And really just being able to sense, because they do a great job of communicating without communicating a lot, right? We often think of them as over communicators, right? But they really have a real intelligence about things, and so being able to hear her when she's not talking, and the other thing is I would write down a lot more. I think there are some memories, some things that we have lost over the years, and God's
journal,
yes,
you're saying,
yes, that's right,
basically, yeah.
that's right, and so God's timing, He might bring those things back to us in different ways, right? But that's the other thing. I think I'd write more.
Good.
But you, Dad?
For me, you're putting me on the spot now. Okay. One of the things, I remember about a year into our marriage, someone asked me, so what have you learned about marriage, about women? And I said, how emotional they are. I said, I just don't get it. Why they're so emotional? And I would just always, I would think that they're strange, they're weird or whatever. But so I would say to my newlywed self, Ron, cut her some slack.
Yes.
She's wired differently than you. Right. And that's okay. Because God creates us different, and God actually draws us to a spouse who can fill where we're weak. I've learned a lot from sitting down and talking to Ann. She picks up on things that I just am oblivious to when it comes to interpersonal relationships and things, and I can learn a lot from her. But just understanding that, okay, yeah, she is wired differently, but it brings such a specialness to our marriage that wouldn't otherwise be there, and differences are okay. And I needed to learn that if she is emotional about something and the feelings, I do need to listen. Like you say, you need to listen for the emotions, not just the issue that I try to fix. And like in the shop here, we're Mr. Fix-Its, and we want to just fix it right away. But to listen to the emotions behind it and empathize with her and not try to jump in with that quick fix. And so that's one of them. And then another one, Mike Holmes is kind of a pretty well-known guy for being Mr. Fix-It and being the workshop guy. Yeah. And his motto is make it right. Yeah. You gotta make it right. Yes. And so I think in our relationships, just to twist his phrase a little bit of the meaning, if you do something that it maybe caused a little hurt, some friction, and there's a bit of a wall there, I like to tell guys, you be the hero. That's right. We all want to be heroes, right? We look at the superhero movies, we love them, but we want to be heroes. But in your marriage, in that relationship, you be the hero. Right.
A lot of the times, the thing that makes them the hero is the sacrifice they make. Yeah. And so, I can see it. Sacrifice and be the hero.
Yeah, and sometimes it's sacrificing your pride and your selfishness, because we just say, I'm not going to say I'm sorry. But if you be the first one, you be the hero, take the first step. Even if you don't think you're the one at fault, you can apologize for your part in it, and whatever your reaction to it, your defensive,ness that you had, or whatever. So there's our pieces of advice to our newlywed selves.
Yes.
Yes.
Some little tools maybe that have helped us and maybe could help you as well as we're in the workshop here. Yeah. Guys, it's been a good discussion.
Really good one.
I like it. I need to talk to my now self sometimes and say the same thing. But thanks for joining us for this segment, and stay with us. More Better Us to come.